Welcome to episode 5 of the Perry Health Pulse podcast. Today we're going to be talking about a little bit of nutrition, and going forward, it's very likely that we're going to have a nutrition-related topic probably at least once a month, just because there's so much out there about it that's false, or just you're not sure about what to trust on it. So our nutritionists here at Perry have been kind enough to offer. They're really excited about having an outlet to be able to share about that. Today will be the first one talking about artificial sweeteners. So kind of going back to that old argument between Coke versus Diet Coke. And of course, everybody who likes Coke says that Diet Coke just tastes terrible and causes cancer. And everyone who drinks Diet Coke just, thinks that they're being so much healthier. So we're going to find out, is that true that they are drinking something a lot more healthy or not? Before we get started with the episode, I do want to give a disclaimer, though. Our guest has asked me to add this in postscript, so to speak, just to say that, with artificial sweeteners, though we're talking about whether or not they're healthy or not, people may experience allergies or intolerances with them. That's always a possibility with food, regardless of how healthy something is. There are some people who could have an allergic reaction to it. If a reaction should occur, it's very important to consult your primary care provider as soon as possible, or get in touch with a prompt care walk-in clinic, someone who can help address the issue as soon as possible. And also remember, as we're going through the episode, if you'd like to read more about our guest, more about the topic, access some resources, read some of our blog posts, visit other podcasts, submit topic suggestions, any of that, you can go to www.perrymemorial.org/pulse. That's kind of our landing page for all of our features. Now let's get to the episode. Thank you for joining the Perry Health Pulse. I'm your host, Dane Steyer. I'm here today with Elise Borowski. She's a registered dietitian working here at Perry, mostly doing nutrition therapy with patients. She's going to be talking with us today about artificial sweeteners, which can be a controversial topic as to whether or not they are healthy or not, or can cause cancer, things like that. So welcome, Elise.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So first of all, what are artificial sweeteners, and what are they made from?
So artificial sweeteners can be derived from plant-based products such as cane sugar or the stevia leaf, which is a bush native to Central and South America. There are also artificial sweeteners that are man-made within a laboratory, and I'd like to say that they're happy accidents that scientists found as they were experimenting and discovered that they could sweeten our food without providing any calories or nutrition. So something that would not be an artificial sweetener would be something that still sweetens your food, but it would still provide calories or nutrition. So that could be agave nectar, honey, molasses, or even high fructose corn syrup.
So with regards to artificial sweeteners, though, what are the effects on the body that we know of?
So really, when it comes to the body itself, there really have not been any scientific studies that have found significant adverse health effects. And what I mean by adverse health effects are things such as direct links to cancer, inflammation, acne has been one of them that has come up, or weight gain.
So studies haven't shown any of that. What studies have been done, and what knowledge do we have about what artificial sweeteners do?
So when we're talking about the most researched artificial sweeteners, we're talking about aspartame, which is a big topic out there right now. And it has been researched or studied in over 200 research studies, and probably more that I'm not even aware of at this time. When we're talking about any of the studies that have shown some adverse health effects, like going back to the cancer and things like that, those have been found in studies where the object studied was a rat. So obviously we are not rats, we are humans. So we can't really say that those studies can be applied to the human body, because we're completely made up differently. Our anatomy is different than a rat. When it comes to human studies, there has been no direct link. So again, we're talking about aspartame has been in over 200 studies, saccharin as well. All of the other artificial sweeteners have been thoroughly researched. They're generally recognized as safe by the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration.
Now, in some of the studies with rats, there were cases of cancer being the result, right?
Yes. And so another thing with those studies that they've found is the volume of the artificial sweetener introduced or exposed to the rat was so significant that it would never be a volume that a human would ever consume. So it's not even a realistic dose that the rats were getting in most of these cases.
Is there a upper limit of, how much should people be allowed to consume of artificial sweeteners each day?
Yeah, it would actually be really difficult for an individual to consume those high recommended acceptable daily intakes of these artificial sweeteners by the FDA, what's recommended by the FDA. For instance, for an individual who weighs about 150 pounds, according to the FDA, they can safely consume up to 17 cans of diet soda containing aspartame without having any risk of any adverse effects. So,
Holy cow.
yeah, and I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that drink 17 cans of soda a day. I hope that's not the majority of us, but again, to think about drinking 17 cans of soda a day, that's pretty drastic. And you would have to do that every single day for the rest of your life and then some, and go over that in order to start seeing these bad effects of it.
In terms of diet soda, I'm guessing based on what you just said that it's made with artificial sweeteners.
Mm-hmm.
And is that the only real difference between diet soda and regular soda?
Really, yeah. And so when we're talking about the artificial sweeteners versus the regular, so the regular is going to have sugar or some of that sweetener in it. And as I talked about earlier, that sugar, the sweetener, is going to have calories in it. When we are talking about artificial sweeteners, there's either no or very, very low calorie intake. So you're cutting back a lot on your calories. Really, that's the only difference between the two.
So, kind of bottom line here, for people, the Coke versus Diet Coke war that's always going on, which one's healthier to drink?
Well, I would prefer you to drink water or milk.
Of course.
But whatever your preference is, everything can fit into a healthy diet. That includes regular soda or diet soda. It's just dependent upon, are you getting all of your other healthy fruits and vegetables? Are you over consuming calories? So it's really whatever floats your boat. So no, I don't think there's one better than the other.
I've heard of added sugars before, but I was wondering if you could clarify what's the difference between those and naturally occurring sugar?
So a naturally occurring sugar is a sugar that we're going to find in fruit, which is why fruit is so sweet to begin with. It's also found in our whole grains, such as brown rice, oat, barley, things of that nature. It's even found in milk, in our dairy products, such as yogurt. So those are accompanied with a lot of other nutrition, so a lot of vitamins and minerals, fiber, things that are really good for us. So whereas an added sugar, you're taking something that already might have a naturally occurring sugar in it, such as your whole wheat cereal. So you think about shredded wheat, the frosting on that's your added sugar. And when we're talking about adding sugars, we want to make sure that we're limiting those. We don't want to consume too many of the added sugars. The naturally occurring sugars, like I said, they're accompanied with all those other good nutrients and fiber and things that are good for us. But the added sugar, all it's really doing is just adding calories to our body and our digestion, and it has some other effects on our body that may not be very beneficial to us.
So if you're ever having like cereal, you gave that example, the milk is a natural sweetener that would be in there. Mm-hmm. So making a choice of eating corn flakes versus frosted flakes, the frosted flakes have those added sugars, whereas corn flakes would be a much healthier option that already has the sweetness to it.
Right. So the best tool to know if something has an added sugar is obviously your food label. But yeah, when we're talking about anything that says frosted on it, that's a pretty big clue that you're probably going to have an added sugar.
Now, in terms of, I've always heard that Americans eat a lot of unhealthy foods. How much sugar do they actually, consume on average, and how much should it be?
Well, actually, so Americans consume on average about 22 teaspoons or about 350 added sugars each day. So, and I'm sure this number is old and it's probably much higher than what I'm saying right now. But the recommendations is that only about or no more than 10% of your daily calories should come from added sugars. So if you're consuming or you're about 2,000 calories a day, no more than 200 calories should come from added sugars in a day. So it's not saying that you can't have added sugars. For me to say that you can never have added sugars is completely unrealistic. I also consume added sugars. It's just a part of our life, but it's just about being mindful of what you're consuming. So again, for the 2,000 calorie diet, that comes to about a recommendation of 12 teaspoons of added sugar. And then so we're comparing it to what the average American consumes of 22 teaspoons. So we're consuming about double than what's actually recommended.
So this is where artificial sweeteners would be a good replacement for that, so you don't go above that recommended value.
Right. Yeah. If you enjoy it, not everybody enjoys the taste of an artificial sweetener, so I can understand that. But if you are trying to be more mindful of reducing your added sugar in your diet, artificial sweeteners do play a role in helping you cut back on those added sugars and trying to get within those recommended limits.
Well, I think this has been, very helpful information for people. A lot of people out there probably thinking, oh, artificial sweeteners do lead to cancer and things like that. But as Elise has shared with us, that's not necessarily the case. We don't have enough studies that show that. So for anyone who's listening who might want to get more information about nutrition, are there resources that they can go to find more information, or a way that they can get in touch with you?
If anybody's interested in learning more or has any questions, you can contact me through the hospital. The main line here is 815-875-2811. We also have another dietitian. Her name is Ashley, and she's very wonderful and very knowledgeable about nutrition. And if you would like to see about having a one-on-one session with us, you can talk to your primary care physician and see if he or she can give you a referral over to us. Typically, diabetes and kidney disease are covered by insurance, but it's always a good idea to call your insurance company first just to see if it's covered. But we would be more than happy to help you out.
Well, fantastic. Thanks for joining us, Elise.
Thank you.
All right, that wraps up episode 5. Thanks for joining us. Hope to have you tune in again soon.